Hello, Stacy.
Hi, sorry I missed the beginning of this.
Oh, that's okay. So it's just you and me so
Oh, okay.
far. I don't know if anybody's going to come. A small number of people signed up, um, and Rebecca couldn't get in to start it. She asked Heidi to do it,
Okay.
and then I couldn't get in, so I texted Heidi, which is how I got in here with her, and then she made me host because she's actually doing something else. So
Oh, okay.
So I'm hosting if, we do anything. And I told Heidi when she emailed people who had registered to say I'd be here till like a quarter to, if nothing else happened. So if you want to hang out with me for a few minutes, we
Okay,
can
sure.
see,
I mean, what is
if
the goal
anybody else
behind this?
comes.
I can't
Sorry?
recall what was the goal.
Oh, it's just to talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, I don't know if Rebecca had any topics in mind. Um, these particular roundtable meetings on Zoom just tend to be idea sharing, asking when you have questions. But like for me, the value of it is that you have critical mass, right? So, like you have a few people who might have done the same thing that you're wondering about. So I don't know. Was there anything in particular you wanted to talk about?
No, I just kind of wanted to see what the discussion was. Are you coming back? Oh, sorry, that was my husband going downstairs.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
no, I guess not especially.
Okay.
Just like I said,
Do you
just
want to wait a
let's
few
see what
minutes
people
to
have
see
to
if
say.
anybody else comes?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I am a little bit at loose ends here because I didn't plan anything, right?
That's fine. I don't know. I thought there was some topic, but I don't recall. And yeah, I've got a headache, so it's hard for me to think clearly right now.
Yeah, I know. Where are you?
I'm in Maryland.
Oh, Maryland. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm in LA, so we've got,
Oh,
wildfires on our minds.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah, so
Are they still burning or have most of them passed by and been contained?
no, they're very much burning.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There is one, I think, that's been fully contained and is out of the picture. And that was the Sunset Fire that started in the Hollywood Hills a couple of days ago.
Right.
But right now, the really big one, the Pacific Palisades
Hmm.
fire, is only, is it 11%
Hmm.
contained? And the
Wow.
other big one, just past Pasadena, the Eaton fire,
Right.
is 27% contained, which is actually a big deal because for a long time it was 3%.
Right. Yeah, I remember seeing that part, but okay.
Yeah, so I think they're making real headway on that one. But the problem is the Santa Ana winds. It's like
Yeah.
hurricane strength winds, and you can't, you
Right. They
know,
just blow it everywhere. Yeah.
yeah, you can't drop fire retardant on it because it just sprays around. And the embers are being blown every which way. So it makes the fire um, much more dangerous and intense than it would otherwise be.
Right. If everything is still dry, then the embers
Oh,
inside.
super dry.
Yeah.
There's been no rain since May. And normally in this part of California anyway, there's rain. Like now, January tends to be rainy
Hmm.
and nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
we got a notification that because of the cold, all the water mains are breaking. So we're
oh
on a water
no,
restriction. Yeah.
because you've got really bad winter storms, right?
Yeah, we had 12 inches in a weekend.
Oh, so
So,
I'm from Toronto, so I know from winter.
right. Well, no, I'm from Vermont too. But,
Yeah.
Maryland has softened me. And
Oh,
this was, like there's a little bit of snow when schools are closed for 3.5 days. So,
yeah. Yeah, I'm like well, I was a Florida wimp. Now I'm a California wimp when it comes to the weather. But I really deep down, like I'm a Canadian and I can handle it all.
right. Yeah. Well, it's funny because I mean, I just saw a meme on Facebook where basically, he was saying, take your kids to an empty parking lot and teach them how to skid. And my husband's father had done that for him. So he's like totally comfortable in like snowy weather. And I'm from Vermont and never did that. Like for me, skids were like horrible. You should never skid. So like I am a lot worse in snow than he is.
Huh. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, I don't even drive in LA. I
yeah,
actually live in a very walkable neighborhood. Um, so, and
so
my
do you
husband
walk
drives.
to the library where you work?
I do actually.
Okay.
Uh, the Temple Library is just about a mile from here.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do walk. I mean, when it's closed now. Like the Hebrew school classes were canceled on Thursday, and then today there's a Sunday cohort and a weekly cohort.
Okay.
And I have no idea if they'll be open on Tuesday. Somehow I doubt it because the Santa Ana winds are going to be back up, and like the air quality is pretty poor, and that's
Yeah.
part of the problem too. A lot of stuff swirling around in the air.
The fires in the San Francisco, like Berkeley area, a year or so ago. I want to say, was that Berkeley? Am I remembering correctly? I don't know. I thought there
I
were some.
can't remember, but like I
They were
can't remember
further north.
anything.
They were further north, and I just remember like there was a day where it was muggy here,
Yeah.
and they said it was because of that.
Wow. I think that might have been around Napa, which is just not far from San
Yeah, and then there were
Francisco.
some Canadian wildfires, and that caused problems too. And
Oh, very
yeah,
bad ones. Fort McMurray burned down. I mean, the town basically is gone.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend whose son lived there.
Mhm.
So yeah, they moved, but
Well, yeah, but that's horrible.
yeah.
But yeah,
Um, anyway, here we are chatting happily about disasters.
right.
It's 4:48. So I think we've done due diligence here, unless you actually want to talk about any roundtable stuff. Is there anything you would like to talk about?
I mean, I don't even know what I'm thinking right now. I mean, we're about to move. It's, I guess our biggest thing is going to be like an inventory and a weed. And they're basically saying, well, we shouldn't inventory before we move. And I'm kind of like, that's when you have to inventory before you move. You have to see what you have and what you don't have. But they're all like, as we put it on the shelf, we'll do it. I'm kind of like, but we need to like weed prior to that. So I'm not quite sure. We've got like 3 weeks and I'm trying to figure out like how to express the need to not move things that don't have to be moved. But
By
it's
weeding
hard.
first.
It's hard as a librarian to weed. So
Oh yeah.
it's like, no, we can fix this. We can fix that.
Mm.
Is it time for this poor book to be put out of its misery?
Remind me, what kind of a library do you work in?
I work at the Jewish Library of Baltimore, so it's effectively a Jewish public library. Um,
Oh, so you've got a substantial collection then.
yeah, we've got, I want to say maybe 20,000 total items, about 12,000 individual titles.
Yeah, that's a really big job. Um, you might want to just put a note on Hasafran asking if anybody's been in this position and they have any advice.
Yeah. How did you convince your coworkers? No.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, I mean, it's a good group and they have a wide variety of experience. So, somebody actually might have some good advice. I do not.
Yeah.
I did take
Yeah.
part in a weed and a move in the public library, but I mean, there wasn't any question about needing to weed first. I remember that.
Right.
So I didn't have to
Well,
convince anybody.
I mean, because they knew they needed to weed first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was at one place where they didn't get a budget to replenish. So when they moved, they literally boxed up all the books and just took the same old books and put them back on the shelf. And I mean, like what else are you gonna do if you have
Yeah.
the ability to buy new ones? But like, it's nice to start with a brand new library when you move to a brand new space. But on the other hand, in the Judaic librarianship, a lot of the books are by necessity old.
Yeah. True.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever, like, this version of, Talmud Bavli is, 60 years old and it's been on the shelf for a while, but, it's not been reprinted in such a way.
Yeah. I mean, there are things that you need to keep, obviously. So,
Yeah.
um, I'll ask you my question, which
Okay.
is my big problem is that I work in a temple library. I'm there generally when the kids are there, so that's mostly Tuesday and Thursday, like afternoons after school. And I come in for certain things, and I try and take a table to adult temple events, so people will see the library and, borrow things. But I can't go to everything.
Right.
And so my big problem is people don't use the library because it's not like open when they're there. And if they're there at all, it tends to be on Shabbat when they're not going into the library.
Or they
Um,
can't sign out books anyway.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I know there are systems you can put in place so people don't have to sign and everything, but um, people don't all have like nobody has a printed library card. I simply put them in the database. We use opals, and so we have an online circulation system, but it doesn't make sense for me to like create cards for people who don't use the library.
Right.
So like when people do use the library, of course, I either create the record or I use the existing record. Um, so like there isn't something they can automatically like put into a box or something to say that they took this book. And anyway, so those systems don't work for me. But more to the point, they're not going into the library after they come for Shabbat services anyway. The library is on the third floor. The like they're going to be on the first floor, period. And when there are events, even if they're on the same floor, they would never dream of coming to the library, and I'm not there anyway. And so, like, there's really no point. It's not a self-serve library, really. I mean, I have a sign out sheet right on my desk and instructions right there and what to do. I mean, the main thing I need from them is contact information on the title and the barcode, because then if I've got the barcode, I've got what I need. It's not a big deal. And I have a few people who do this quite happily on their own. They'll come in, if the library door happens to be open, and they'll choose books mostly for their kids and they'll sign them out and off they'll go. And then I'll take um, their handwritten thing and I'll put it in the circulation system. So I have a record. And that's fine. But this is like literally a handful of people. So of course, and I have kids come in during classes, and kids, sometimes sign out books, and that part is okay because I'm there and they're there. But getting adults who have membership in this library of 6,000 odd volumes
Mhm.
as a perk of membership, and also anybody who's associated with the library, I let use it. Like
Right.
if they have kids in Hebrew school, but they're not members, if they're in the Sisterhood book club, but they're not members, I don't care. Like, they can sign up books. It's
Right.
just
You're
I
happy
can
to have
find them and
members.
get them back again, right? They're affiliated with the library. And like I went to I go to things like the annual meeting and I'll give a report and my last one, I just sort of really laid it on the line and said, you have access to this really wonderful library. I've been building it for 10 years, because I've been on the pretty much I've been on the Sydney Taylor Book Award Committee. This is my second year. I said, you are getting brand new books. I'm donating them and they're on the shelf. ready, like, this is like the cream of the crop. This is
Right.
great stuff. And I would love you to use it. So, I mean, from all of that, I think I got two people to borrow books.
Wow.
It's very hard. And I mean, I'm not terrible at promoting the library. I write a column. Like I said, I show up at quite a few things, but it's very hard to get people to sign book out. And some of them say, "Oh, like I only listen to audiobooks," and I don't do audiobooks. I mean, the public library
Right.
does audiobooks. I
Yeah,
can't do
exactly.
that. And oh, I have so many books at home, and you know, fine.
Right.
But you
Uh,
probably don't have these books at home. Like, this is the other thing. I have a unique collection, and
right.
there's some overlap with the public library, but not completely. And I promote public library use all the time anyway. I mean, I'm not trying to get them to not use the public library.
So what
Um,
is your newsletter column? Is that just
sorry?
featuring different, you said you
Oh, yeah.
feature, is that like a different book every week or month or?
Um, well, I have an online book club that's a
Mhm.
monthly book club in Zoom, and also pulling teeth to try to get people from the temple to come to that,
Oh,
even though it's like, again, it's a fantastic opportunity. Everything's free, of course. Um, I started it in the pandemic, and it's a very nice community now, and we have like maybe 8 people every time, which is actually a very good size for a book
right.
group. It's
Yeah.
just that hardly anybody in it is from the temple. So I know. This is just hilarious. You might even remember a couple of years ago, I wrote to Hassafran and I said, I got this great book group, and like nobody from the temple will come. And so I started inviting my friends. Um, I invited people on Hassafran. I got a couple of people, lovely people from Hassafran who
Right.
come now. They're regulars of the book group. And occasionally I get somebody from the temple. But, I talked to them and said, look, I'm running this book group. It's basically a group of my friends, but is that all right? Because it's a temple book group and I'm trying, like it's also outreach, right? I mean, I am doing legitimate outreach. We also have it appears every month in Jewish Journal, and I got one person that way. Uh, like it's not like I do advertise it. Um, and they said, yeah, it's outreach. That's fine. Community outreach. I've got this great book group. And
Yeah.
I have been expanding it. But again, it's like just my friends from various parts of my life.
Wow. I don't, yeah, I mean, that's the hardest part is attracting people. Like we're doing great programs to try and spread the word. And like every month new people come in. I've never heard of you. We're like, then your eyes are closed.
Oh, I can't tell you how many people they'll come to my book table. Like what I typically do is I'm there half an hour before the event starts. Everything at my place starts late. I don't know if it's Persian time or what, but anyway, everything starts late. So I'm there like for 45 minutes or something before the program starts. And almost every person who comes in who belongs to the temple, I mean, sometimes it's other people who come, right, to programs, their community programs, but almost every person who belongs to the temple comes in and says, oh, I didn't know we had a library.
Yeah.
Or, oh, there's a library here. Or, oh, from the library.
Oh,
Where's the library?
isn't that frustrating? Yeah. I mean, like we ourselves are moving to the front of the building, so we're hoping more people will see us and get the point.
That's good.
But sorry, for the longest time we were upstairs and we were like a teacher library. So like only the education services mentioned it and only the teachers knew that it was there and only the materials were for teachers. But we've been trying really hard to build it up into like effectively a public library with Jewish content. So,
Great.
but again, trying to let people know like nobody reads the newspaper, nobody reads nobody is, looking at the emails that we're sending out. They're unsubscribing immediately. Like,
So I'll tell you one thing that I found helpful. Um, it still doesn't have people like breaking down the door trying to get into the library, but um, I have been doing um, my column for the newsletter, which is an emailed newsletter, goes out every Friday to the whole congregation. I mean, you think that that would be reasonably good publicity. Anyway, of course, I don't think anybody reads it. Um, and my column is right near the bottom and it's long. So by the time you scroll down there, like your eyes are glazed over. Anyway, I don't think very many people read it.
Yeah.
So we this year started WhatsApp groups for the two Hebrew school cohorts, the parents, like the Sunday parents and then the weekly parents.
Okay.
And, we have WhatsApp chats for the teachers and like we have a whole bunch of dedicated WhatsApp chats.
Yeah.
So now I've started, and so I have the column, but I also write a weekly report to the parents for the week that I'm there. I'm not there every Sunday, but I'm there every week for the Tuesday, Thursday kids. Um, and so I always write up what I do because whenever I do it, I add some kind of reflection or activity that the parents can do afterwards. And,
No.
I think this is pretty good. Like if anybody read it. Uh, so um, I had, sometimes you always have one like amazing family. They come and they take armloads of books and they
Yeah.
read them and they come back and they take more armloads of books. Anyway, I have family like that. They broke my heart, moved to San Diego.
Oh.
But anyway, the mother in that family always read my reports to the Hebrew school parents.
Hmm.
And she would do the things that I suggested doing, or she said, "Oh yeah, we do that all the time." And I just like it's like a dream come true to have
Yeah.
somebody like that, right? And so I knew that the things I was suggesting were like reasonable things. Here's somebody who
Right.
actually does them. Um,
But
so
yeah, how do you bottle
anyway,
that and spread it around?
but using social media for us, it's the WhatsApp chats I find useful
Okay.
because they're motivated to read them. They know, like, if Hebrew school is closed, they're going to find out by reading the WhatsApp. Like they
Okay.
need to read it. So they don't need to read my column if I post a link to it and it's going to be like it's right there. The document is right there.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if anybody reads it, but it's right in front of them in something that I know they're looking at. So that's the best I can do.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. I mean, I was thinking like, putting a picture of book of the week and a little topic, and maybe they could see that on Shabbos, come to the third floor.
Yeah.
People will come
So,
early.
what I actually write about, I write about different things. I do it every other week usually. Um, but of course, I write about the book club, which is called the Second Sunday Book Club.
Hmm.
And I have either, um, I kind of treat it like a blog. I have only two or three items. I don't do anything long. And the book club is either the book club is coming up or we just had the book club and these are some of the books we read. So, it's covers and it's visual and it's pretty. Um, and, I carefully choose the things that I think they'll be interested in. And then I write about things like International Holocaust Remembrance Day is January 27th. And, like here's a selection of Holocaust graphic novels that we have that I think that you would be really interested in, and these are mostly newer things that I can tell them about. And I have displays on the in the section of the building where the classrooms are for Hebrew school. So parents like walk by there, I would hope. Teachers certainly do. Um, and anybody who's going to an event. Like there are two main places for events in the temple, and one of them is on the is on that floor, and you have to walk by the displays to get there. And so I always like sometimes I take a picture of the display and put that in my um, column and say, and
Right.
don't miss this display of da 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 da. And they're really good displays. Like there's one about Sephardic life. I have one on graphic novels.
Yeah.
They're not like boring.
No. Yeah, that's, I don't know. That's really hard. Are announcements read from the Bima?
Oh, no. Hmm, there's an idea.
Because on Shabbos, like we read announcements every week, and it's usually like, these upcoming events. But they're always like, and then read your email for the latest, all the details. But it
Well,
could.
I hope that they're telling people to read like the temple's newsletter, but you kind of assume like it's coming every week. It's something that you should be reading, but that's a good idea. I should ask, see if somebody will do that
I
because I'm
mean,
not there.
if an email goes out to everybody, um, I mean, they could send an email and say, "Hey, our library has things for this, 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 and this." If you, I'm so sorry. It's like
Yeah,
it was
you're
a
going to
really
get
long
me
day.
started too.
I'm sorry. I promise I'm paying attention. I can't help it. Um, along the lines of like, hey, you want to check out a book, send an email to blank, or use this QR code to get to our catalog, or, something in
Yeah,
this group email. I mean, it sounds like you're already doing it because if you're writing about it in the newsletter, but I mean, if they could send out a single email, like just randomly on a Tuesday or something, this comes from the library and hey, here are some examples. Either use this QR code or email us your email, like some kind of a form, um, for people just to fill out with their information, even as simple as an email and a phone number, then come by the library and we'll, tell you how to check stuff out.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It's very hard to know, but if that's where most people are, there's got to be a way to reach them somehow.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it mostly a Saturday congregation?
Oh, sorry. Is
Is it
it?
mostly a Saturday congregation, like going on Shabbos? Or do you think the
Um,
Hebrew school is most of it?
they do other things. There are a lot of various groups and clubs and things,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go to events that they put on, and um, again, like I'll come beforehand, so I'm there while they're arriving, and they don't have anything else to do, and I'm thinking like stand at my table and take a
Right.
book.
Are congregants allowed to go to board meetings?
Um, I'm not sure actually.
Because that was the other thing I was going to recommend. Like, at least at the beginning, like they have board meetings and then they have executive session afterwards. The board
Oh,
meetings are where the different committees give their report of what's going on.
yeah,
The
yeah,
president says something, and then like anybody from the congregation is able to come and, you know, I really hate the color of the table in the front office, stuff like that.
yeah.
But you could totally go in and just be like, and by the way, we have a library, and each one of you now has to tell three other people. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know, like if you're able to
yeah.
go to a synagogue board meeting as a non-board member, but usually they want congregants to come in,
Yeah, yeah, I would think so.
like right to the president and be a guest speaker.
Yeah. Um, I mean, when I spoke at that last meeting, that was like their, kind of official annual meeting.
Oh,
The
okay.
board's all there,
Yeah.
you know, and the person I report to, and this is unusual, the reporting structure is very unusual. I report to a member of the board who is the VP for education.
Okay.
Um, and of course, this is different people because different people get, elected to that position or stand for that position. It's usually for a couple of years at a time. And all of those people have been really great people. And I, and generally those people like sign out books, you know,
Yeah.
every now and then because they come to see me in the library and I push something on them. Um, but something they want, of course. They just didn't know that they wanted it before I handed
Yeah.
it. But it's so minimal. It's like I figure like I've got this board member who is actively promoting the library, but it doesn't seem to like do anything. So I don't know.
What would you like to have happen?
I would like for people to use the library, and they can use the library without me being physically there. And I explain this like all the time, that they can email me, say if they're looking for something or other, if they are looking for a particular thing, or if there's a kind of thing they're looking for, or if there's a certain book they want me to buy for the library if we don't have it. I've done a fair bit of that, when it's something that is appropriate for the library, well, I'll just buy it. Um, but that they but I can leave it for them in the front office. They can
Yeah.
pick it up at their leisure, like that kind of thing. They don't have to come to the library,
Hmm.
but um, but they need to pretty much interact with me to, be able to really access it. Um, Unless, like, they're a parent and they happen to be hanging around during Hebrew school and they want to come in, and then you're like, they're welcome to use the library, right? Like if they're physically there. But for the most part, people are not physically there when I am, or they're busy with something else.
That makes sense. It
Yeah, that's
sounds
why it's
good.
hard. Like I don't have like real
Mm.
library hours when, people could come.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it sounds like a big place. What's on the main floor?
Sanctuary. It's a big place. I mean, it is. They do a lot of weddings and, so they have a lot of events. And there's a caterer who is in the basement. So we have like our own on-site, like
Oh,
glatt
wow.
kosher caterer.
Hmm.
So there's a lot that happens. But, like when it's strictly a community event, like when um, I sort of choose my things to go to because I don't want it to be something where there are going to be like hardly any members there, because then there'll be all kinds of people who I'll be showing the books to, but they can't borrow any.
Right.
So it's just frustrating. But when it's mostly members, then there are some people who can't take the books. I just say, oh, you could take a picture of that and get it from the public library. Or if you want to know more about this, I can tell you about it. So it's still good outreach. It's just that I don't
Right.
want it to be only that when I have a table.
But only congregants can check out books.
Yes, or people who have a connection to the temple.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
because otherwise I'll lose the books and never find them again.
of course, yeah. Um, I mean, I think that
It's almost a quarter past. I've kept you for a long time.
no, that's okay. I'm just, trying to think of ways that I could give,
Yeah. Yeah,
suggestions.
I like what you said about just taking like one little chunk of information, like here's a QR code, da, 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 or here's, the one thing that we do. Because I do like I highlight like one thing that we do quite often in my newsletter that nobody reads. So,
Right.
but like doing it a different way, I think would be good. Um, I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's
It's
very,
just
are there other displays on the main level that you could like get in on once every so often?
not really. Like there's
Is there
a
like a gift
display
shop?
of stuff from the gift shop, which
Yeah,
they're not going to put my stuff in. And I mean, I have a good display space up right by the classrooms. It's just that
right.
nobody looks at them. And
Well,
I
or only
know
the parent.
because the only time that I know of that anybody's taken books from those displays is when I'm there with them and I say, I think you would probably like this. And I open the case and I give it to them.
Do
And
they
it's
end
just
up
a
liking it?
sliding
Like, do they
glass
tell you
thing.
that?
It's not locked.
Oh, that makes sense. Like, do they say to you that they enjoyed it or they were glad you did?
Well, one of them was my boss.
Okay.
I know she liked that book. And another one was, yeah, actually one of the parents who I gradually kind of um, trained to be a library user.
Hmm.
And that's going pretty well because she's got a couple of kids, and we talk about books for her kids, and I'll set things aside for her, and she's comfortable like using the sign out sheet, so that's good too. Um, she also had something out for a very long time, and I finally got her to return it. So yeah, I know, but that's okay. I mean, I don't charge overdue fines, very big thing,
Right, same.
right? I'm trying to be as accessible as possible. So, and I think the movement overall in libraries is to not have overdue fines now.
It is. But we do send emails if a book becomes overdue. And
Yeah.
we will sometimes hound them until they get so frustrated they bring the books back. But
See, it's hard for me to do. Part of it is that I have opals, and if somebody has an email in the system, I could, strictly speaking, send an overdue notice, but I'm very reluctant to do that because um, I can't see what it's going to look like. Like I'm just I don't want it to go to everybody who has an overdue notice. I like to like know what I'm doing, and like I
because
do you know what
you
I
should be
mean?
able to get like an overdue printout, like a printout of all like the books that are overdue at a given time.
Yeah, that I can do. That's I'm okay with, and then I can contact people, and I will also. I think if it's a personal email coming, it has a little bit more. You know, it'll get
Right.
more attention.
But I mean, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, if you can get a printout of all the overdues and then individually write to those people and
Yeah,
say, yeah, like,
that's what I do. It's just that I don't want to send out an automated overdue.
right, right, right. Yeah, no, and
Yeah,
that makes sense. And we don't, but I mean, it would look a little different. I mean, for us, we can say, hey, we'd like the book back. People have requested it. Or,
yeah,
this book is not renewable because you've had it out since June. Please bring it
yes,
back. Things like that. Like, there was a woman who called and asked me to renew her 5 books today. And I said, well, really, they've been out since June. I can't renew them anymore. You can only renew them 3 times. Please bring them back now. I was glad she called, but on the other hand, it's kind of like, stop taking advantage of the system. How long does it take you to read these books? Like,
yeah,
that would be like a month a book. Like, I don't know. That seems like enough to
yeah.
me.
Like you're like a real library.
Right.
You've
It's
got
different. Yeah. No, no, no.
you
I
have a big
know.
collection. You have a like a proper automated system and everything. And I mean, Opals is fine, but it's small library material, right? Like
Right.
I'm a small library.
Yeah.
So I try to make everything as personal as possible,
Yeah.
partly to encourage people to use the service. Because I really think that for me, I'm going to be what sells it, right? The
Mhm.
fact that they can talk to me and find out what the library has, get what they want, anything, but they pretty much have to do it through me because the library is not open generally.
Could you send out a because you read you might like kind of email, or have you done that already?
Um, I haven't, but I very often do something like that when I'm writing to them.
Yeah.
And in fact, when some of the kids like I know that kid A likes series B. When series B has a new one in the series, then I'll like make a note. I'll either tell the kid if the kid is I see in Hebrew school class, or I'll tell the parent, would you like me to set aside this new one in the series that your son has been reading?
Hmm.
And person usually says, yay, sure, and I'll pick it up. So I do that kind of thing too. I mean, what I'm trying to do is get them to interact with me so that they can like get the use of the library, which is also reader's advisory and reference and reader's advisory.
Yeah.
Um, like whenever like my advice to people is always, I teach children's literature and librarianship too. And my advice to people who come into, like parents who come into a new neighborhood, they move to a new community. I say the first thing you need to do is make friends with your children's librarian.
Hmm.
And, you're going to be so happy because because they will choose that they'll have things set aside for you. I mean, they'll be thinking about you.
Right.
And I do that for my patrons too, if I'm in touch with them. So,
Yeah.
and of course, it's hard to explain that to people when they don't read anything that you're writing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when
Well,
I
people
got to
just
do it
don't
in
want to
person
read.
at, hmm?
People just don't want to read, period.
Yeah, which is like really weird. People of the book and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I've been building this great collection, and a handful of people take advantage of it, and I'm thrilled that they do. And
Right.
so that's my big thing. I really want more people to use it. I mean, not counting the kids, I'm talking about the adults.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. Those are my two thoughts. I don't know. Get yourself in an announcement, and maybe when maybe like with the new member packet,
Ah,
when new members
I
come
like that.
with everything else, hey, we have a library. Here's a link to our catalog, or whatever, like another thing.
Yeah. I mean, all I have to do is print out, like, if somebody tells me they're going to give out a new member packet, I'll just print out my latest column because at the bottom, it has all the contact information, and
Yeah, that would
like
be perfect.
I use it as a handout anyway, whether it's the latest one or not, because it's got all the contact information. It says how to use the catalog, So, I try to make it informational as well as, hey, like this is something new that just came in that I think you
Right.
like.
That's very cool, though. I like the idea of the Sephardic display. That's neat.
Oh, I'm so happy about it too. Like it's really good. Sometimes I do displays for adults and I do displays for children, but honestly, I really like to be much more holistic about these things. And the Sephardic display is an all ages display. Because, they're really great children's books. Increasingly, we're getting more. Um, and because I'm a somewhat specialized collection, I do have in stock a lot of really good adult, Sephardic books and things that they're not going to get at the public library,
Right. Exactly.
you know, at all. And, for every um, book by Gail Levine, that they can get at the public library, I'm going to have, an exhibition catalog of something that happened at UCLA a few years ago, all about Iranian Jews. And people do stop and pick those things up when I have them on a table, or like they're important things for our community.
Yeah, very much. I don't know. That's all. The main thing is getting the word out. So
Yeah,
I don't know,
it
maybe
is.
a little bit. I'm sorry. It sounds like you're doing what you can do, but it's
Well, I think I'm doing like a reasonable job, but it's not good enough for my like it I'm not connecting the way that I want to connect. It's
yeah.
like I'm connecting over here and I want to connect like that, you know? But thank you.
You're welcome.
You helped me.
But okay, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'll try a few things. And if you do want to post a note to House Fran, maybe somebody will have some good ideas for you.
Okay. I will try that. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
stay safe.
And
Thank you.
it was lovely to chat.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Bye, Stacy.